Hey, High Spotters. I'm so fired up to be with you. This is my second rodeo with y'all. So as they say, the momentum keeps going, the growth keeps going. And I just want to thank Darren for the kind introduction. I promise you all of that is true. And so, yes, by background, NFL, NBA, what's most important to me, though, is this spirit of growth, of inclusion, of momentum, of becoming the best version of ourselves. And how do we rise to the level of our standards? In the NFL and NBA, we called it a standard of excellence. You could also think of it as a championship culture. And champions come in different shapes and sizes. Sometimes it's mindset. Sometimes it's a game plan. Sometimes it's a playbook. But ultimately, how do we win as an inclusive team together and ultimately stand for change? I fundamentally believe that the ROI of today's conversation is going to come down to the decisions that we make and the actions that we take on Monday morning. You'll soon hear about a Monday that changed my life. And I believe that we're all one decision away from our life changing as well, as professionals and as individuals. And that decision is to win Monday. Because when we win Monday, we start to feel big. Imagine you charge into every single week at High Spot and you felt big. And as a result, you played big. When we feel big, we play big. And the key here of playing big is, of course, that means we're going to stand for change. Of course, that means that we're all going to feel included and valued and seen and heard and recognized. We're going to feel like we matter. We're going to feel like we authentically have a seat at the table. So this is the spirit of winning Monday. This is the spirit of feeling big. This is the spirit of playing big. This is the spirit of standing for change as we rise as inclusive champions together. So as you heard in my intro, it's a decade and a half in the professional sports world. So 3 NBA teams, NFL league office, and then I spent the last handful of years at the 49ers. And what was really fascinating, if you want to talk about standing for change, I always say that growth is on the other side of discomfort. Discomfort is something that we have to experience in order to grow, in order to reach our potential, in order to be the best version of ourselves. Well, how's this for discomfort? What if you worked at the LA Clippers when Kobe and Shaq are winning championships across the hallway, and ESPN calls you the worst brand in sports, and then the front cover of Sports Illustrated says you are the worst franchise in sports history? How do you sell that? In New Orleans, where there was apathy, I always say, tell me you love me, tell me you hate me, but don't tell me you don't care, because I can't change care. And so on this piece, football was like a religion down there, and then there was not even basketball, it was hunting and fishing, believe it or not. And then in the basketball world, we had to have a franchise-saving campaign. We had to stand for change around civic pride and loyalty and rally around the spirit of I'm in. Otherwise, we would have lost a team to permanent relocation. Sacramento Kings, I was in charge of all company culture initiatives. And then a month later, bang, league-wide labor lockout. How do you manage morale when it feels like people's livelihoods are taken away? NFL league office broke some all-time records, and that's a trophy that we'll talk about in just a second. And then 49ers. Some of you that heard my last talk know that I was a part of a pretty controversial experience, but it was an experience that you want to talk about standing for change. And this is not a political or a social comment, but we were facing 70,000 fans in the aftermath of Colin Kaepernick kneeling. So if you remember that, that was not an ESPN story. That was a CNN, Fox, and a global story. And so when it comes to standing for change, when it comes to freedom of expression, when it comes to being inclusive and really adopting somebody that does stand for change in a very forward way and public way, those are the experiences. And so a team president, a mentor of mine, once told me that in that business, you got to sell one of two things: hope or results. If your team wins a lot of games, you sell the results. If you're unlucky, then you got to figure out how to sell hope. Well, 15 years in the business, 14 of them losing seasons. I had to figure out this hope thing. You could have just called me the hope dealer. But it was this hope, this belief, this positivity, this optimism that fueled a lot of trophies. I mentioned the all-time Super Bowl revenue record. I mentioned opening up Levi's Stadium and shattering billion-dollar goals, billion-dollar pressure, billion-dollar expectations. And later today, you're going to hear a story of how we took a cellar-dwelling NBA club from second to last in revenue performance to second in revenue performance. But it is not a sales story. It is not a revenue story. It is a the controllable story. And that's going to be an insight that we talk about later today. I wouldn't trade any of those trophies for the most magical day that the sports industry ever made possible for me. So I married my best friend my rock, my soulmate on the field of Levi Stadium. The venue was her idea. I swear. I swear. Tom, I already know what you're thinking. I don't care that we're virtual. I see you. I hear you. I feel the energy. I swear. Top left. I already know what you're thinking. You look at her, you look at me, and you're like, dude, you totally outkicked your coverage. To that, I would say, fact. 100% I did. But remember, I'm a sales guy. So you could call this the greatest sale of my life. Now, you definitely cannot tell by a last name like Epstein, but I'm a proud Mexican descent. Mi mamá nació en Nayarit. I spent a lot of my childhood in Ensenada, Mexico, and I also married into a full Mexican family on both sides, de Michoacán y de Guadalajara. So had you been here on this day, you would have seen a taquero, you would have enjoyed some of the world's finest tequila flowing straight out of barrels, and there was even a mariachi band, a first in Levi Stadium history. Now, I share all this with you from a very humble place to say that life was really good. Nothing was broken. I had nothing to fix. I most certainly wasn't running away from anything. So then why, a little over a year after this magical day on the field, why did I take a Jerry Maguire leap? I left sports 100% on my own terms. I never looked back. I got no regrets. And to this day, I've never felt more alive because I made the decision based on one thing and one thing only. I found my why. It was a leadership offsite retreat a handful of months after the wedding. Go offsite 2 days, find your why, find your values, and I got obsessed. But I didn't get obsessed with those things like they were distant North Stars. I got obsessed with what do I do with them on Monday morning? How do I show up differently? What do I really stand for? Who am I at my core? How do I make decisions? How do I take actions? And that's when I got obsessed. And I got back in the front office and I just preached all about this retreat. I mentioned there was a Monday that changed my life. It was what happened the Monday after this retreat that turned out to be the reason I'm talking to you today. Otherwise, I would still be in the sports industry. So I get back in the office and I'm telling everybody that would listen all about the retreat. And one by one, people on my team came up to me and said, I want some of that. So now some of the water cooler buzz starts, and now some of the football players and some of the football coaches. Then eventually HR approaches me and says, what do you think of coaching the why to our onboarding employees? And that's when I became known as the why coach. Greatest graduation of my life. From career to calling. I felt called to pay this gift of purpose forward. So people always ask me, what does a why coach do? And it's a great question. Whether you're an individual, a team, or an organization, it's the exact same. I believe that all of us have a compass inside of us. That compass is like your personal GPS. That compass is like your personal operating system. And here's what it looks like. At its core, you've got a why. And together with your core values, it represents who you are. Then this next level of beliefs and a belief system, well, that's what you stand for. And then this outermost layer, the outermost layer of decisions and actions represent how you show up. Who you are when it's connected to what you stand for, when it's connected to how you show up. This is about alignment. This is about congruence. And the most consistent, authentic people have mastery of both their inner game and the outer game. The inner game being who you are, the outer game being how you show up. The best of them source how they show up from who they are. But most of us are walking around and we never did that inner work. Until that retreat, I had never done the inner work. I had no idea about my why, about my purpose, about what I stood for, about my values. I had no clue until I did. And that's when my life changed. And I realized that when you can master this inner game and you can be more intentional with how you show up with your decisions and actions in this outer game, I call it inside out confidence. Because confidence is nothing more than the bets that we make every single day. Every single moment, you're placing a bet. Every single decision, you're placing a bet. Every single action, you are placing a bet. And the most confident people are those that keep the promises they make to themselves the most consistently. I will repeat that. The most confident people in the world are the people that do what they think, they do what they say, they reinforce to themselves. If this is my value, if this is who I am, then this is how I'm going to show up. And they do it day after day after day. And the compounding effect of inside out confidence, it becomes unshakable. You're not a prisoner to the economy. You're not a prisoner to any external or environmental circumstance. If another pandemic were to strike, it's one of those classic 1 step back, 20 forward. Like you just are weatherproof. It's economy proof. It's recession proof because you're dialed in. This is who I am, and it's going to make me more gritty, more resilient, more tenacious, more scrappy. That's the spirit of having unshakable confidence. So speaking of confidence, in my time in the NFL and NBA, I asked myself a really interesting question. It was thought-provoking for me because I thought to myself, hold on. These are the highest performers and achievers in the world at what they do. They're the top 0.0001% in the world. So their gifts, their talents, their abilities, that's not their separator anymore. In college it was, in high school it was, but in the pros, we're all welcome to the major leagues, welcome to the club. It's not your gifts, talents, and abilities that are your separator. So then why do some players thrive while others are inconsistent? They suffer from poor performance. They don't get up off the mat when they get knocked down. Why? It's not their gifts, talents, and abilities. And I realized there's a different currency by which people play. Even if it's the world's greatest athletes and performers and highest achievers, confidence is the currency of those that win the most consistently. Confidence is the currency that they place their bets with. And it starts by betting on yourself. You want to stand for change, you're going to have to make confidence your currency. You're going to want to be the most inclusive team and organization. We are going to have to boldly go where confidence alone can take us. We have to have authentic confidence, and hopefully this compass can illuminate how we do that. It starts with the inner work, and we're about to tap into your inner game in just a second. Because here's a formula for how you build and sustain unshakable confidence. Here it is. I've trained it to Navy SEALs, Olympic athletes, and even Shark Tank entrepreneurs, the most high-performing, high-achieving, inclusive people that I know. Confidence equals values times action. Confidence equals values times action. The multiplication is how consistently you do it. In other words, show me a person that takes consistent action on their values. I will show you a confident person, period, full stop. This is it, folks. Now, again, until that retreat, I had never done this inner work of values. So I want to meet you where you are. Maybe you already know your core value. Awesome. If you do, let's pick your top one. But if you don't, or if you just want another bite at the apple, I'm going to leave this up for about 20 to 30 seconds. Choose the value that jumps off the screen. Choose the value that resonates the most with you. So I'll hop over to this side. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Choose one value. We're back. We're back. So hopefully everybody has it. If you didn't, last chance, take a picture of these words, 5 seconds, last call, and then I'm going to move forward. Take a picture if you're still debating, but otherwise lock in on that word. Okay, here we go. So you pick the value. Now I'm about to share a journal, and it's got one prompt. It takes 2 minutes, and you only got to do it once a week. So here we go. Here's the prompt. For the week ahead, I will live my value of, you choose the value that you just chose, and then you commit to an action that's connected to the value. So for the week ahead, I will live my value of by an action that's connected to the value. Now remember, the formula for unshakable confidence is confidence equals values times action. The value and the action are in this journal prompt. So this is literally a confidence journal. You could think of it as that. So let's play with a couple hypothetical examples. Let's say that you chose a core value like joy. Okay. So what you would do, you would journal for the week ahead. I will live my value of joy by cooking my favorite meal. Simple, small, accessible, awesome. For me, I'm throwing bacon in a pan. What are you doing? Whatever brings you joy, you do you. But now let's up the ante a little bit. Joy's on the nicer side. Let's up the ante a little bit. Instead of joy, let's go with courage. So your journal could look something like this. For the week ahead, I will live my value of courage by having that challenging conversation that I've been putting off. You wouldn't have that conversation because Paul said you would have that conversation because courage is your core value. That's how it works. You want to stand for change? We're going to have to be courageous. That's a beautiful example of having those challenging conversations so we can be the most inclusive and high change version of ourselves. And then a week later, you do the actual audit. What did you actually do? So there it is. There it is. But now there's a critical caveat that I want to share. And this is hyper critical, because if we just do this once or twice, sadly, I promise you no permanent growth and no transformation. I would tell you it's going to be like a New Year's resolution. Give it a couple days, give it a couple weeks, and poof, it's gone. But there's a reason for that. In a New Year's resolution, we often don't have a process or system, but the journal would solve for that. There's a second piece, and it's even more important. It never became a habit. Unless we get to the point of habit formation, it ain't going to stick, and we'd be wasting our time. So the good news is we know exactly what habits require. It requires a process and system, journal, check that box, and for the average person, it takes 3 to 4 weeks. So in other words, we got to get past that threshold into the threshold of habit formation. So you can guess where we're going next. Journal and act on one value for the next 4 weeks. Is it joy for 4 weeks? Is it courage for 4 weeks? Is it belief? Is it growth? Is it authenticity? Is it impact? Is it excellence? Whatever value you chose, lock in for 4 consecutive weeks, and it starts to look like this. In the 4th week, you might journal just one action, but you're going to do 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 things. Why? Because the habit is formed, and the inside of your compass is now driving the outside of your compass. Your core value is sending a signal to say, here's a decision, here's an action. Value, decision, action, value, decision, action. I call it a habit loop. That's exactly what you're going to do. And so a spirit of Monday momentum, and I've got something for you. A resource is coming. This is literally the values journal. It's going to have all the values that I just showed you, and it's going to have the prompts. When I say who's in on Monday Momentum later, which is just a gift from my heart, one of the things you're instantly going to get within seconds in your inbox is this values journal. But make me a promise. Please do not keep the impact just to you. Absorb it, use it, embrace it, and then share it. If there's folks in High Spot that weren't able to join, share it. If there's folks that you love dearly, personally, professionally, outside of High Spot, share it. This is a gift of abundance. I want to get you this values journal. So more on that in just a little bit. Okay, now let's get into a couple things that I've been listening to. So in connecting with Jill and with Molly and with everybody else, and the fact that I've spoken to High Spot before, I feel like I've got a pretty good understanding of what's going to move the needle here. What does it mean when we say stand for change? How do we make inclusion our superpower? And so what I want to share now are a handful of what I call standards. Standards, I believe, are even more critical than goals. You need goals to measure progress, to make sure you're on the right track. But you're going to hit a lot of goals and you're going to miss some because we're human. Me too. But you and I never have to take a day off of our standards. We never have to take a day off from our standards. A manager manages to the goal, a leader manages to the standard. And every person on this call, in this meeting, you are a leader of self. Before we lead others, we must first lead ourselves. A manager will manage to the goal, a leader manages to the standard. If you consider yourself a leader of self, then let's rise together up to the level of our standards. The first standard comes from my time at the Niners. So to this day, this is still the team president. His first name is Al, and true story, his last name is Guido, and he's from Jersey. How about that, folks? A Guido from Jersey. Come on now. You can't even make that up. So this is Al Guido. I was with him. He brought me over to the 49ers. He was VP of sales, then COO, and then president. Now, Al, he rocked our world in his introduction speech when he got to president. It was our all hands meeting. And I will never forget the day. We were a year away from opening up Levi's Stadium, heart of Silicon Valley, known to be one of the most tech-forward, progressive, innovative venues and facilities that the industry had ever seen. And Al was very worried. He said, if we want to do the unthinkable, if we truly want to set these records, if we want to knock the industry back on its heels, then we've got to find new or we have to stop. We have to stop finding new and creative ways of this. He said, we are too darn good at figuring out new ways to say we've always done it this way. And I'm sure over the course of your life and your career, you've heard a version of this. I feel like I've heard this a million times. And on my worst day, I have said it. I have said it. And in Al's words, if you consistently beat this drum, it's equivalent to saying no because ... No because fill in the blank. And he said, if we are going to do the unthinkable and set the industry on its heels, when we open up Levi's Stadium, then gone are the days of no because. In are the days of yes, if. Yes, if versus no because. It's a radical shift. No because is a dream killer, a hope killer, an innovation killer. It's an inclusion killer. Yes, if is about possibilities and opportunities and hope and belief and optimism. It's about standing for change. Yes, if versus no because. So some questions for reflection. You individually, are we entering every day with yes, if energy or no because energy? For our team, yes, if team or a no because team? Amazing, amazing questions to reflect on. In the spirit of Monday Momentum, I said that the ROI of today's conversation would come down to the decisions we make and the actions we take on Monday morning. Here's the first way that we can win on Monday together. I want you to identify one no because to yes if opportunity, and let's make that shift Monday morning. Take a no because into a yes if. We make the shift on Monday morning. That's how this is going to work. All right? That's one way that we can win Monday. The next standard, I've done consulting for one of the top airlines in the US. I cannot tell you who. Let's just say they may or may not be on the screen. I will never tell. Okay? So they've got 120,000 employees, 6,000 positional leaders. And I used to consult with all 6,000 over the course of 2 years, just culture transformation, leadership development workshops. Loved it. People in my network asked me, so what's the culture of the airline like? And I said, I don't know. Who's the leader? What department? What location? What floor of the building? And that's the culture. Because when I would visit floor 5, it was warm and green and cozy. Floor 6, a little frigid and cold. Here's the crazy part. Floor 5 and 6 weren't just the same company. They weren't just the same airline. They were the same department. But it was a drastically different weather system, which taught me an invaluable insight about team, about inclusion, about culture. All culture is local. All culture is local. Down to the floor of the building, down to the department, down to the individual. So when you and I, when we hop on a Zoom meeting or we walk in a room or whatever we do, we could either warm it up or we could cool it off. The question is, are we aware of our own temperature? I will repeat that. Are we aware of our own temperature? Because when we are and we intentionally choose warmth, it invites warmth, it attracts warmth. We become warm. High Spot will be the warmest version of itself when everybody chooses warmth. That is a change that I stand for. And that is a way that makes people feel big, to play big. And that is us at our most inclusive self. Own your weather system, you will own your life. Own your weather system. That is a standard. Owning your weather system, you own your life. Period, full stop. So a single way that we can leverage this insight, this standard of owning your weather system and your local culture so that we can win Monday together, there's probably a room that you can warm up. but there's probably a relationship that you can warm up. What rooms do you need to warm up? What relationships do you need to warm up? What a phenomenal opportunity to step into this zone of change and transformation and inclusion. The next standard. So I mentioned to you, I wish I would have told you that I won some championships and was a part of the team with these guys. Obviously, the late Kobe Bryant, RIP, and Shaq. These guys were just absolute legends in their own right on the court. But I didn't have the privilege and the honor of being a Laker. I hung out on the other side. I told you ESPN called us the worst brand in sports. I can't make this up. My second week on the job, I'm an entry-level sales guy. They called us the worst franchise in sports history. Try selling that. You can't even make this up. This is crazy. So here's the reality, though. We were called all those things, and our neighbors across the hall were winning championships. Meanwhile, we were here. You don't even need to like basketball. Let me just give you a quick lesson on how this works. There's 82 games in an NBA season. If you're bad, you're going to win 30-something almost by accident. If you're average, you're going to win 40-something. If you're good, you're going to win 50-something. And if you're great, you might win over 60. We won 17 games. I don't, it's, as you can tell, I've recovered. There's some capital T trauma right here. But no, so this was it. This was it. And this was the environment. But here's the success story. Out of 30 NBA teams, we used to be number 28 out of 30 when I got there. And in 1 year, we went up to number 2. How? How do you go from nearly last in the league in revenue to nearly top, selling the same bad product on the court? And here's something that I'll share with you, and this is going to hit deep. But let's have some fun with sports for a second. Because the losses were never our fault, but we made them our responsibility. The losses were not our fault, but the mindset was the next day is our responsibility. Mindset, mood, energy, attitude, effort. That's our responsibility. So for you, check this out. Adversity, change, disruption, uncertainty, hurdles, obstacles, setbacks, all the things that get in between you and winning, you and producing, you and performing, you and showing up at your best, you and being the most inclusive organization. That's defense, and that's an environment. How do we play offense in a defensive environment? None of those things are your fault. The bad economy, the uncertain economy, it being a political year, and another pandemic, interest rates, supply chain. I could keep going. None of that's your fault. But let's make tomorrow our responsibility. Let's make tomorrow our responsibility. That's the key. So how did we do this? Now, this isn't just motivation and inspiration. I'm not here to just charge up the troops and let's go. No, I want to give you tactical things that you can implement on Monday. So when I was a hiring manager, I was sales manager at the Clippers, we actually formulated a constitution. But it was not a constitution in a room like this. It was a constitution in a room like this. So I don't know if maybe I have a little Baldwin look at me. What do you think? Like, let me get right under him. Look at this. Look at this. No, not really. Better looking over here. But needless to say, both came from that sales background, that sales methodology. So here's something that I learned. And again, this is not a sales story. This is not a revenue story. This is a people example about how we rise above adversity and change and disruption and uncertainty and all of that. This is what we did. So I was in those settings of a group interview, and it was tough to get people to work for the Clippers. But for those that were brave enough to show up to that group interview, I said, I need 3 things from you, 3 non-negotiables. Here they are: work ethic, positivity, coachability. I'll repeat that. Work ethic, positivity, coachability. You give me those 3 things, I will take care of you the rest of your life, the rest of your career, whether this opportunity works out or not. And they said, but hold on, Paul, I'm a little confused. What about the goals? What about the sales numbers? What about the metrics, the performance stuff? And I said, don't worry about that. Because I wouldn't offer you the job if I didn't think you could exceed expectations. I wouldn't offer you the job if I didn't think you had the skill for it. I can always coach up some skill, but I can't coach your will. We can coach skill. We cannot coach will. Another way to say it is, I knew that this would be true. I can't coach care. I don't have a wand to make you care. Remember my three things: work ethic, positivity, coachability. I don't have a wand to make you work harder. I don't have a wand to make you positive in what I know is going to be a negative and toxic environment. I don't have a wand to get you obsessed with getting 1% better every day. 1% better today than yesterday, 1% better tomorrow than today. I don't have a wand to make you coachable enough to obsess about growth 1% at a time, one day at a time. I can't coach care. So I picked three things: work ethic, positivity, and coachability, that were this. We controlled our controllables. You give me those three things, we're going to win. This is how we went from number 28 to 2. Nothing magical about it. I just chose the right three controllables. I found people that poured their heart and soul into three controllables. So what does it mean for you? How can we win Monday and create more momentum in our business and life leveraging this insight? Think of just one controllable that you can dominate the rest of this year. Is it work ethic? Is it positivity? Is it coachability? What's going to make you stand for change the greatest? What's going to make you the most inclusive version of yourself? Choose one thing that is 1,000,000% in your control and dominate that the rest of this year. That's another way that we can win Monday together. Next standard. Let's talk about a scoreboard. So my old scoreboard, I used to think about, in my space, did I sell something? I sell a widget, it was a good day. I don't sell a widget, it's a bad day. What does that mean for you in whatever role, whatever hat, whatever function you have? And as you know, if it's all about performance, if it's all about metrics, that's a little tough. It's just tough because we're probably not going to check the winning box every single day, no matter how we measure that goal or that success or that progress. So I created my own scoreboard. It's how I define success in a day. It's how I define, do I have a winning day? There's 3 different elements. Let me walk you through them and then we'll do a quick summary. The first is experience. So imagine at the end of each day, you do an audit, and I'm going to give you 3 things, and you could ask yourself 3 questions at the end of every day. Here we go. For experience, what experience did I gain today? What experience did I gain today? Second one is information. What information did I learn today? The third is relationships. What relationships did I build today? Here's the summary. What experience did I gain today? What information did I learn today? What relationships did I build today? That's it. These are the questions. Now, a couple of caveats that I really want to highlight here. For one, let's talk about experience. Normally we say, well, what experience did I gain today? Was it a success? Was it a good outcome? Did I get what I wanted? Did I achieve success? Like, maybe. Let me challenge that. I think that's a flawed way of thinking about it, because that means if it worked out, you're happy you did it. If it didn't work out, you're not happy you did it. I want to challenge that. Let's get off of business for a second. Let's have some fun and go with dating. All right. Let's say you had a date that just went sideways, like way off the reservation, like don't want to see them again. Okay. It's one of those. We probably have all had those over the course of our life. Okay. So one way of thinking about it is, well, it was a horrible date, so it was a horrible experience. Maybe. Or, well, maybe now I'm better informed. Maybe now I know what I like and what I don't like, who I like, what attributes, what characteristics, what personality traits, whatever. But now I know. So I would argue that that was still a positive experience, even though it might have been painful in the moment. So now we put our work hats back on. Just because you didn't get the outcome you wanted in a given day working at HighSpot doesn't mean it was a bad experience. It could just be a learning opportunity. It could just be a growth opportunity. We're going to have to go through some muddy waters if we're going to stand for change. And you're not always going to get the outcomes you want as you navigate this change. Still a positive experience. Okay. Information, we're learning junkies, we're growth junkies, we're just endlessly curious. That could be books, podcasts, talking to a mentor, a boss, having a coffee meeting, but you're just consuming ways to level yourself up. And then relationships. Relationships are the currency of business. Relationships are the currency of life. Let me add something. It's not just what relationship did I build today. It could also be enhance. Build is new. Enhance is level up a current relationship. Monday momentum. How can we win Monday together? Using this new daily scorecard. This is what establishes success and winning and momentum beginning on Monday. Here's your new daily scorecard. What experience did I gain today? What information did I learn today? What relationships did I build or enhance today? You answer these three things positively, more days than not, that is a winning life. One day, one scorecard at a time. Next standard, let's talk about trust. My belief is that if I was to ask you, what industry do you work in at HighSpot? And I'd get a number of responses from tech, software, unit, people, culture, like all of that. And it's all true. But I'm going to add one to your list. I believe we all work in the trust industry. HighSpot, you're in the trust industry. Welcome. I'm in the trust industry. I wouldn't be invited back to talk to you if I didn't earn trust. It's my calling card. If every person in the world may trust their calling card, it would be a better world. It would be a more caring world. It would be a more compassionate world. It would be a more inclusive world. Trust is the industry we all work in. So I want you to think of somebody that you trust. These are historical figures, and that's not where I'm going. I'm just setting the table for you. Who is somebody in your life that you would walk to the end of the earth and back for, whether living or in memory? You trust them to the end of the earth. Who is that person for you? Now, I want you to think about, what do they do? Actions and behaviors. What did they do? Why did they earn your trust? How did they earn your trust? And as you're thinking about that, now you've got the person in your mind, lock them in. And now, why'd you think of them? There's a reason. It wasn't random. And now I want to engage with you a little bit. So you'll see in a couple seconds here, we're going to pop up a poll that has a bunch of different options on ways that people will typically earn trust. What I want you to do, max of 5. There's going to be 20 to 30. There's a lot of options here. So please read through them first. We'll hang out here for a couple minutes, so don't rush. But whatever's a hell yes for you, you've got up to 5 options that I want you to click on and just keep going. What did the person that you trust the most in this world do? And just keep on clicking, and we'll hang out here for a minute or two, and then we will unpack this. So I'm going to disappear off screen here for about a minute. I will be right back, and we're going to unpack this. So it looks like listen, if we could scroll through, it looks like listen is super high, care is super high, respect. Yep. Oh, not support, super high. Leading by example is a close runner up. Yep. Let's keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. All right. All right. I mean, all of them have votes. So it's not that there's no right or wrong, by the way. Let me just lead with that. But let's keep it rolling. Let's keep scrolling. Okay. Honesty it's up there. Okay. Keep going all the way to the end. Okay. So I see honesty. It looks like listen is so far leader in the clubhouse. Caring is second. Fun fact, as you continue, we'll give this about 30 more seconds. Sometimes I ask about trust, which I just did for you. Sometimes I ask, think of the greatest leader in your life. I don't bring up trust. I just say leader. What did they do? And interestingly, whether I ask this in the US or internationally, public company, private company, millennial, baby boomer, like you can mix and match anything you want. And I'm telling you, when I ask the leadership question, the number one response by a long shot is listen. I would ballpark about 90% of the time. It's literally one of the first 3 to 5 responses. My theory is, not proud of saying this, but here's my theory. Listening feels so amazing and awesome when you feel listened to with empathy and with care, but it's so rarely practiced in the world. If we had a world filled with great empathetic listeners, I don't think it would always come up so early when I ask what great leaders do. And so I think maybe in a similar vein, trust, we could probably think about that. My point here is I'm not being a Debbie Downer by saying, oh, the world sucks at listening. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what an amazing opportunity for you and I to stand for change, to be the most inclusive version of ourselves, and ultimately so that we can rise together and listen together. That's your secret weapon. That's your competitive advantage. Be one of the world's best listeners and you cannot lose. So thank you again. We'll be sharing these responses after. But yeah, I think listen and care. I'll just go through the top 5 to 6 right now. We'll just scroll through. So listen, care, respect, support. Okay. Keep rolling, keep rolling. Yeah. And then honesty. Let's say those are our top 5. So here's something I want to bring us to now. So I'll hop back into this. Okay. A single way that we can create more momentum together. So what does this mean? How do we apply it? This wasn't just an exercise to do an exercise. There's an insight. We got to win Monday. We got to have momentum. So we all have job descriptions, for sure. High spot and beyond, of course. What if half of what your job was literally what we just did? What if 50% of every job description was the behaviors of trust? Those things you just said, listening and care and support and being honest. Like, it sounds so elementary, but it's not. Because if you would do anything for this person that you trust the most, don't we want to be thought of as that person? So if you want to maximize trust in your business and your life, of course you do. You already thought of this person. We're going to come up with words like this. This is from a different team, but like we just did a live poll. Use your words, not these. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your new job description. Those behaviors of trust you just chose, listen, care, support, being honest, that's your job description. I don't care if you're in marketing, operations, accounting, legal. This is your new job description. 50% of what matters is kick butt at your job. Of course. What if the other 50% was this stuff? This is what this is all about. And this is how trust becomes your currency. Trust is the industry that we all work in. Trust, trust, trust. It's why you're going to win. Or, you know the other word, but I'm a winner. You're a winner. This is how we stand for change. This is how we're inclusive. Trust becomes our job description. So we're close to landing the plane here, folks. Handful of minutes. I believe this is the most important decision that any of us can make, winning on Monday. We now have a playbook to win Monday. And the beauty is, the hard part is figuring out how to win one day. My hope is that our time together today, you have a handful of plus ways that you're ready to go win Monday. You're ready to have unstoppable growth and momentum going into the new week, into Monday. Because when we have a playbook for one day, we could scale this. The momentum continues. So a decision that I want you to make. There's a fork in the road. To the right, it's winning Monday. To the right is Monday momentum. Now, let's talk about the other side. And I'll tell you that before I became a speaker, I used to go down the other side far too many times. Here's what that looks like. If over here was winning Monday and Monday momentum, I used to cruise over here. Maybe you've been here too. Have you ever gone to an event or left an experience like really motivated, really inspired, just charged up like, oh man, I'm a different person. Like you're just beaming with hope and belief and optimism and like ready to go attack, ready to win. But then Monday morning hits and now you've got an inbox that you've been ignoring and you've got fires to put out and then there's boss or spouse or kids or life. And you just get back in the grind and the hustle and then you reflect back on that once inspiring event and poof, it's a sugar high. It's a sugar high. That's happened to me. I got sick and tired of having sugar highs. And so now I want to flip this to you. Maybe you too don't want to have another sugar high. The opposite of a sugar high is winning Monday. But a sugar high, it's not going to lead you to be inclusive. It ain't going to lead you to stand for change. I promise you that. So let's go win Monday. If you commit to change, if you commit to improvement, and you commit to being better and doing different, to stand for change and be inclusive, no sugar highs allowed. All right. So make each other a promise and commitment inside of High Spot, the no sugar highs. Well, it is an adorable picture, by the way. How could you not look? I mean, come on. Adorable. Adorable. Okay. So I mentioned Monday momentum. Here's going to be me meeting you at the 50. This is from my heart. I've got some gifts, of course. I mentioned the first. I'm going to hook you up with a values journal. I also want you to have a playbook so that no matter how defensive the world around you gets, I want you to have a playbook to play offense. And I also want you to be the most confident version of yourself and make better decisions faster. So everybody that hops into Monday Momentum, you're going to have digital copies of both of my books, The Power of Playing Offense and Better Decisions Faster. So I will leave this up for 30 seconds. Scan it. It'll take you 5 seconds. It's a gift from my heart. And literally within seconds, everything will be in your inbox. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the Momentum Club. Welcome to Winning Monday together. So I will leave this up for 30 seconds. Ready, set, go. Okay, I'm going to leave this up about 10 more seconds. Obviously, if there's any issues accessing, then we'll totally hook you up. We could always find each other through Jill, and we'll get you everything you need. But please, just do this, and then we'll be about 3 more minutes, and then we're going to call it a day. I know we're running a few over, but I apologize. I just got too energized, and obviously, I just wanted to help give back with all of this because I love what y'all do and I love the mission you're on, and I just want to do my part. So we'll be about 3 more minutes. Close this down. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, folks. If you didn't get it and you want it, hit me up later. Jill knows where to find me. Got it. Home stretch, folks. Let's do this. Let's close strong. I want you to think of your hero. It might have even been that person that you trust to the end of the earth and back. Could be. But living or in memory, who's your hero? Who's the person you would do anything for? For me, it's my dad. That is me over there. I'm the little guy, gap and all. And he's my hero. A hero that I lost at 19 years old. By trade, he was a continuation high school teacher. If you're not familiar with continuation, it's a kid's last chance. Kicked out of traditional school, they land a continuation, and the hope and prayers that they don't go on to become a statistic on the street. And that's the environment that he chose after teaching in traditional schools for decades because he felt he could have more impact there. A couple years after he passed, a few former students came up to me in the same neighborhood that he taught at, and one told me, "Your dad was the first person that ever believed in me." Another said, "Your dad gave me a reason to think that tomorrow is worth it." I didn't know that there's people around us every day that don't feel that tomorrow is worth it. But now that I knew, I made myself a promise and a commitment that I was going to dedicate the rest of my life to being on a mission of impact, to make my hero proud. And that's why I'm here in front of you today. When I left sports, it's because I knew that my strongest core value was impact. And me staying in sports, I would have been leaving impact on the table. So I never left sports. I just wanted to make my hero proud. And now I get to pay this forward. So this is our first. This is PJ, a little over 3 years ago. You want to ask me what success looks like? If I could have 1/10 of the impact that my hero had, then it'll be a great life. That's the game that I'm playing right now. That's it. And this is us. Luca joined us last November. So you could see here, apologies, wrong side. You could see here, 30 minutes into life, he's hearing his first Win Monday keynote. So we are practicing what we preach. And this is, of course, us at our most recent holiday experience. So for those of you with a family, you know darn well that it took about 200 pictures to get that one. You know that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, folks. When I wrote The Power of Playing Offense, what you're going to see, opening dedication. Check this out. PJ was on his way at the time, our first. To my future leader, PJ, may you live and lead with purpose, happiness, and a spirit of playing offense. This one's for you. And that's the exact same thing that I want for each and every one of you right now, in this moment. And for you, I want you to dedicate the rest of this year to your hero. Dedicate the rest of 2024 to your hero, because you will let yourself down before you let the most important person in your life down. And here's where we're going to land the plane, folks. Right here. At the 50. I want to meet you at the 50 as your partner in purpose, as your partner in impact, as your partner in inclusion, as your partner to stand for change. Because we now have a playbook to win Monday. And we now have a playbook to win 52 Mondays, momentum to win 52 weeks, and momentum to make this our most winning year yet. But it comes down to the most important decision that any of us can make. If we want to stand for change, if we want to be inclusive, then we got to win one Monday at a time. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let you guys get in on this. Thank you. I see all the chats. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Thank you. Thank you for everybody out there, wherever in the world you are. I look forward to winning Monday together. I'm seeing all the love. Thank you. Thank you. And high fives and bear hugs back. This is awesome. And I see it. Go Niners. I didn't miss that. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, thank you so much. You not just have a good weekend, have an awesome weekend, have a winning weekend. Let's go. Let's go. This is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Fire emoji back at you. Love it. Win it all. Win it. That's even better. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to steal that. Win Monday, win the year, win it all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, this is cool. I'm just geeking out on this. I'm geeking out. Every week is a 7-game series. Ooh, okay. All right, Josh. I see it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Very cool. All right. Well, awesome, everybody. Bear hugs. Have a phenomenal weekend. And on the other side, let's go win Monday. All right.